Good morning, Indiana. Welcome back to the Deep Thoughts Podcast. My name is Trey, your lovable host, and we have a glorious guest with us this morning. She is the co-founder of Outside the Box. But before we get to the interview, I would like to say if any of you have never heard of Outside the Box, I would love to get on your computers, type in Outside the Box Indianapolis on YouTube. There you'll see a lovely YouTube channel. Subscribe to the channel, give it a 5-star rating, and send in the comments because we love for you. We love for you. We love what you have to say to us. Now, Kelly Hartman, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me, Trey.
You're welcome. Now, we are going to talk about your life and everything. So tell our viewers, where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up on the east side of Indianapolis, and I've been pretty much in the central Indiana area my whole life.
Nice to hear. What made you get started with insights and outside the box? Was this your motivation your whole life, or what became of that?
Well, no, I was in graduate school at Ball State University back in the early 90s, and I only worked in a group home in Muncie with 8 people who have intellectual and developmental disabilities. I worked there because I thought it would look good on my resume, and I fell in love with the job and with just the excitement of seeing people achieve more in their life. And I just ended up doing that for a while. And then I went on to think that I was going to do psychiatric work with adolescents. But there were some things that happened in my life that kind of changed the trajectory of where I thought I was going to be. And this is where I am. And I love working with folks at Outside the Box and Insights.
Now, you founded Insights in 1996. What became of that? How did that happen?
Again, I think it was a little bit of an accident. I had worked for another large provider agency for 7 years and realized as I grew in leadership with that company, I really missed working with people. Like my joy is working one-on-one with people like you. And to do that, I needed to kind of switch things up. So I became a behavioral consultant on the Medicaid waiver in Indiana in the very, very early days. And interestingly enough, I only believed that I would be a one-man shop. Like I didn't believe that I was ever going to have staff or anything like that. And but I started Insights in 1996, and now we serve about 1,300 people in more than 60 counties across the state of Indiana. And we have almost 400 people that work here. So it's kind of crazy and out of control, but we're having a lot of fun doing it.
1,300
It's our
people.
25th anniversary this year. Insights turns 25, July 1st.
Oh, well, bravo. I'm so glad to hear that. Excellent. Now, let's talk about Outside the Box, the greatest special needs program in my book. How did that get started?
We had been doing behavioral and residential supports for folks, and a lot of the families that we worked with liked our culture and liked what we were doing with individuals that we supported. And they said, you really need to do day programming. And we knew pretty early on, because of the way that day programming is funded, that made a lot more sense for Outside the Box at that time to be a not-for-profit, so that it could really be owned, if you will, by the needs of the community. And so we made it a separate organization from Insights so that Outside the Box could be its own thing. And we finally got all of that squared away and started officially providing supports under the name Outside the Box in 2008.
What was a day like in Outside the Box like in 2008? Was it like all the curriculum that they do now, or what was the full day Outside the Box when you first began?
Well, interesting. We always had the idea of doing small groups and doing 4 individuals with one facilitator. That was from the very beginning, and that was because we didn't want larger groups because people don't get the individualized support to make their life the best that they can be. So we had 4 ladies who had graduated from high school together, and they wanted to, after high school, spend time in their continued learning. And so they were the first 4 ladies. So it really looked a lot like Outside the Box does now, except we hadn't developed the curriculum yet. And it was kind of an experiment, Trey. We didn't know if Outside the Box was going to, be this great thing. So we kind of wanted to start small and see how it went. And I think we've had a waiting list since the first day because people really, really like Outside the Box and people wanted to come to Outside the Box.
Outside the Box is a wonderful place. When did you guys start doing Outside the Box? Obviously, that didn't start right away when you first started in 2008. No?
Actually, we did start we had outings. They were just with a group of 4 people. And so, yes, we've always thought it was really, really important to have people spending time in their local community, interacting with local businesses, getting to know people, to support Outside the Box and support, our ability to all be a part of our neighborhoods and our families and our communities, despite whether we have, amazing abilities or whether we have challenges. It doesn't really matter. We're all humans. And so that has always been a really big part of Outside the Box, is being interactive.
Now, let's talk about Outside the Box's biggest fundraiser once a year. Inside the Bottle. How did that start?
We've had that since really early on. Outside the box, if you think about it, if you think about what that might look like, it's something outside of a box, right? Well, inside the bottle, we thought was kind of cool, like to represent wine drinking. So it's always been inside the bottle for outside the box. And it's been a food and wine kind of extravaganza from the very beginning. Outside the Box has had some great relationships with restaurants. And from the very, very beginning, we've had the same provider of all of our wine. And that was somebody that worked for Insights. Her husband worked for RNDC, and we've just developed this great relationship with them. So they've supported us from the very, very beginning with Inside the Bottle. And then eventually, I think the third place that we actually had the Inside the Bottle was Lucas Estate. And that's where we've had it for the last several years until COVID, So COVID did everything that COVID did.
Yes, COVID was a big meeting. Boo. Anyway, moving on. So are you planning to do Inside the Bottle this year for 2021? Is that going on, or do we know anything yet?
We are going to have an amazing not-for-profit fundraiser for Outside the Box, but it is going to be at Outside the Box, and it's going to be in September, and it's going to be a brunch on a Saturday morning. So it will look a little bit different. I don't know what they're calling it, if it's still Inside the Bottle, but my assumption is that we will have wine and more like brunch food. But we're going to let people come to Outside the Box and actually see your campus and see the chickens and all the cool things that you guys have going on there. All those super awesome picnic tables I have seen on Facebook. So a lot of really cool things that are happening there. We want to share that with people so that they can get excited about where you get to come and do programming and work in the community every day.
Interesting. That's really nice.
It's a little bit different.
Now, I heard this was the 25th anniversary of Insights.
Yes.
So are you guys going to do anything big? Well, actually, before we talk about the anniversary, tell us about Insights. What do you guys do there?
Well, so Insights Consulting, and we work with lots of people that go to Outside the Box. We provide residential stuff for people who need help living at home. Whether it's 24 hours a day or maybe working in somebody's family home. We provide those kinds of supports. And then, Trey, I'm sure you've heard of people that have behavioral consultants, or maybe you have one. We have 30 people that work here who do behavioral consulting. And then we have a number of people that do music therapy as well. So we provide kind of all the waiver supports that aren't day programming, if that makes sense.
Okay. Now, one last thing before I let you go. Are you guys going to do something big for the 25th anniversary of Insights this year?
Well, since you asked, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret that a lot of people don't know. We just decided we're gonna have a big, huge picnic somewhere for all the people that we support and and all of our staff. So we're getting the details together for that, but we're probably gonna do that sometime in July.
I'm going to advertise this. No doubt about that. Okay, so be on the lookout for a big picnic, guys. Inside. Stay tuned. Okay, so this is Trey Hawkins for Deep Thoughts. Kelly Hartman, thank you for joining us and have a nice day.
Thanks so much, Trey, for having me.
You're welcome.